King's Country at kingscountry.net. Jim King of the radio on the mic. And on the phone, I've got David Varnado. He played fiddle with Loretta Lynn, who sadly passed on October 4th, Tuesday, October 4th, at 90 years old. It's been a few years ago that you played fiddle for her, hasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it's been quite a long time. I would say probably at least maybe 15, 16 years ago. I left Loretta. She decided, she got a boyfriend and wanted to slow down a little bit. And I just, I just, I like to work a lot, and I went on to work for Chris Ledoux. But Loretta Lynn, I would say probably one of the best bosses that I've ever had that cared about me and cared about my family. She was definitely in 2000. She was the reason that I got married and was married for about 8 months, and she was the reason that me and my wife packed up here in Beaumont, Texas, and moved to Nashville and to start a life. And she definitely helped us do that. What a great lady.
That's David Varnado, a.k.a. Fiddlin' Dave from Port Arthur, Texas. Quite a legacy himself. Played for Loretta Lynn as well as, like he said, Chris Ledoux. You left that gig to play with Chris for several years. Late, great Chris Ledoux, he's passed too. All the good ones are dying. It's sad.
They are. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to say this to you, and I thought about this over the last few days. I was really lucky to have caught the last few years or several years of the country music icons that was a staple in Nashville, Tennessee, that made Nashville what it is. And, people like, I've gone out and worked with George Jones because of working for Loretta Lynn, playing for Johnny Paycheck. The list goes on, and I'm very lucky to have been able to follow in some of the great footsteps as the great musicians that's played for some of these people. But I will say this, Loretta Lynn, Johnny Paycheck, both, they paved the way for me. When you go mention that you played for Johnny Paycheck, who was a side guy for George Jones and so many others, Ray Price, and you mentioned that you've played for Loretta Lynn or you play for Loretta Lynn, it got me so much work on the side from work that we didn't have on a weekend that I went out with Tanya Tucker and so forth. So it was definitely a stepping stone for me, if it's a light way to put it.
Again, that's David Varnado, who played fiddle for the late, great Loretta Lynn, who passed peacefully in her sleep on October 4th. You know who else passed from our area? That 1970, we lost Janis Joplin. She's also from Port Arthur. She died on October 4th, 1970.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that.
But you got...
She was a good one, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, she's undoubtedly the most famous person to ever come out of this neck of the woods. But Loretta Lynn, again, she's gone at age 90. You got to know her pretty well. What kind of person was she?
An absolute wonderful, wonderful. Loretta loved everybody. I will tell you this, Loretta was the type of person, really and truly liked making people laugh. She was a funny, her kids were all funny. She liked making people laugh. She liked telling jokes and anything that would come across that she could get a laugh out of somebody and make them feel at home. But I will tell you one thing. There was a show that I did, and I remember it was somewhere up in Ohio. And I played 2 or 3 different instruments for her. And I wasn't quick enough to get on my fiddle after putting down my acoustic guitar. And that night, after we got done, we had 2 buses. She had her personal bus, and the band had their bus. And I went over to her bus, and I apologized to her for not being able to catch the song quick enough. And she said, "You know what, baby? It doesn't really matter. As long as you have a smile on your face, those people out there is never going to know." And I'm going to tell you one thing she told me. She said, "Ernest Tubb always told me, as long as you put a smile on and you love that audience and love your fans, they're going to love you back." So I've never, ever, ever forgot what she told me. and she always made me feel at home, and it put me at ease that, people are not perfect, and she told me people are not perfect, and made me feel good about missing my song that I was supposed to have a fiddle kick off on. And I remember so many times of playing the Grand Ole Opry with her. I mean, my gosh, what an icon! What a memory! And I'll tell you another thing she told me. I was so proud to play the Opry, which I played it many times, but I'd never played it with Loretta Lynn for the first time. She had started her career there with Ernest Tubb, and I remember her telling me so many great stories about being on the Opry. But what a memorable place to play with Loretta Lynn at the Grand Ole Opry, and what a world icon. I want the world to know that she loved her fans. And I will say this to you. She's had some strokes over the few years, and she wasn't able to perform anymore, Jim.
Yeah.
And I don't think she realized how sick she was, but she kept talking about going back on the road and being, her place was in front of her fans that she loved so much. And she mentioned to me so many times, as long as you love them, they're going to love you back. And I appreciate you having me on your show, Jim. I've got such great fond memories of Nashville, and definitely Loretta Lynn, playing fiddle for her is going to be etched in my mind forever, and she will definitely be missed.
What was your immediate feeling when you heard the news?
Heartbroken. Truly, truly heartbroken. Dina, my wife, had gave me a call to tell me that she had passed away, and I immediately called one of the twins,
Mm-hmm.
and talked to them. And I'm sad about it, but let me say this to you: she lived to be 90 years old. My gosh, that's a long life.
60-year
And
career.
yes, sir. She was one of the first female to get CMA Entertainer of the Year.
Uh-huh. I think she was the first.
The first one, yes, sir. She
Yeah.
was it.
51 top
first one.
10 hits, Grammy Awards.
Yes, sir. You're exactly right. So I feel heartbroken about it. You think these legends are going to live on forever, and then life kicks in, and you realize there's just as much as a human being as us, and she's going to be missed. The world's going to be missed. The world will miss her. But I will tell you this: people like that, really and truly, I know they're gone in body and soul here on earth, but their soul's going to live forever. Her music is going to live forever. You're going to remember Loretta Lynn for the next 60 to 70 more years.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Of course, she was immortalized in a movie, too, Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yes, sir. I remember going to see that show when I was a kid. Never had one inkling of an idea that I would ever be working for Loretta Lynn.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your memories with us, David. And that's David Varnado from Port Arthur, Texas, Hall of Fame fiddle player. You can check out his booth down there at the Gulf Coast Music Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir. I want your listeners to know that this is coming from me. I've known Jim King for about 15 years, and you've always been kind to me. You've always been always opened doors up for me. I can call you at any time, and you've always answered my phone call. And I want the world, I want this broadcasting program to know that they are dealing with a true great human being, and that is Jim King of the Road. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, David.